Hello again, my fellow gamers. When it comes to the Five Nights at Freddy franchise, we have seen a game that started about animatronics and jump scares, developed not just a wide variety of frightful characters, but also a strong plot, filled with intrigue and mystery. Within the world of FNAF, there is now enough lore that people actually develop their own theories concerning the mysteries behind certain characters. Such was originally the way with the Purple Guy, or Purple Man as we've come to know him. But throughout the games, the horrific story behind who he was and what he'd done was unraveled, and we came to know the frightening truth behind who the Purple Guy was. At least we think we know. Join me as we explore some of the more alarming facts surrounding him as we count down the top 10 scary FNAF Purple Man facts. And if you are new to the channel, let me say hello to you. My name is Amanda McKnight, and I'm one of our co-hosts here on Top 10 Gaming. And these are my pals, Pablo and Lola. You may have noticed that I'm currently not filming in the studio. This is because we at Top 10 Gaming have had to shut down the studio we normally operate out of. So for at least the next 14 days, I will be filming here, out of my apartment, from my couch. But rest assured, we will still have tons of awesome content coming your way. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to smash that subscribe so you can stay in the know on all things FNAF and all things gaming. And let us know in the comments where you are from and how the virus has affected you. Because, you know, we want to know how you're doing. And if you're taking this time to play any exciting and cool games, be sure to let us know as well. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's talk Purple Man and get counting. Number 10, William Afton. So, who is the Purple Guy, you may ask? There are a few theories surrounding this, but one is that he is the man known as William Afton. William Afton is the creator and operator of Afton Robotics Incorporated, which is pretty terrifying considering that is the company that supplied Fazbear Entertainment with their animatronics. Spooky? You bet. You get to visit Afton Robotics in the FNAF game's sister location. Number 9, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Afton is the young daughter of William Afton and the sister to Michael Afton. William created Circus Baby for her, and she is a minor character in the sister location game. She wanted to play with Circus Baby, but her father told her to stay away from the animatronic due to it not being deemed safe enough yet for his daughter. However, when her dad wasn't looking during a birthday party, she snuck off to play with Circus Baby and was lured away from the other children with ice cream that Circus Baby gave her. Circus Baby killed little Elizabeth with a claw that burst forth from her chest. Unfortunately, no one could hear Elizabeth's screams for help over the loud cheering and squeals of delight coming from the other children who were excited over the other animatronics. Ooh. Number 8, hostile animatronics. Not only did Purple Man potentially make the animatronics, if he truly is William Afton, but he was also responsible for messing with the animatronics facial recognition software at Freddy's. In FNAF 2, it is revealed that this was tampered with after William complained about the working conditions of the night shifts, and was moved to the daytime shift as a result. During this time, children went missing, and the animatronics programming was altered to make them act hostile towards employees of Freddy's. I think you see what could have happened next there. Number 7, Michael Afton. Michael Afton is William's son and Elizabeth's brother, who is also known by his nickname Eggs Benedict. In Sister Location, you play as Michael, who is revealed to be on a mission to find his sister and set her spirit free. However, Michael is tricked into entering the scooping room by Enard, who also has Elizabeth's consciousness within it. In the scooping room, you as Michael have your insides scooped out before Enard wears your skin like a suit, so that they may leave the facility and go out into the world. How lovely. It is speculated that Michael may also be the Purple Man instead of William, or maybe in addition to William? Could there be two of them? You decide. Number 6, serial killer. The Purple Guy has been confirmed as the murderer of at least 5 missing children throughout the games. In the first FNAF game, you discover that he was responsible for luring at least 2 children to the back room, who mysteriously then vanished. Later on in the franchise, you discover via mini-games that he also murdered a child outside of the pizzeria, and that a total of 5 children taken to the back room were killed and stuffed into animatronic suits. Number 5, Springtrap. In FNAF 3, we discover that Springtrap, the game's main antagonist, contains the corpse of William Afton. While fleeing the vengeful spirits of the 5 children that he murdered, he finds himself cornered. Quickly, he thinks to hide himself in a Spring Bonnie suit, being careful to avoid injury. initially. However, the suit's spring locks malfunction due to water damage and sudden movements that William makes, resulting in him being sliced apart while inside the suit and crushed by its inner mechanisms. What a way to go. You can still see his remains through the tears in Springtrap's suit. Number 4, Scrap Trap. Scrap Trap is a far more frightening iteration of Springtrap. This version appears in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. The suit now appears to have even more tears and has a more withered looking appearance, missing a limb and with more tendons belonging to the corpse within it visible. Number 3, Rotting Away. Part of the reason why some think that Michael Afton could be the Purple Man is because of the color of his skin. The purple color is speculated to represent his skin rotting away following the scooping room incident in Sister Location, while Michael's consciousness lives on within. In mini-games within Ultimate Custom Night, we witness what happened to Enard and Michael after leaving the facility. We see his skin change from pale to tan to green to brown to almost like this blue and then deep purple. Number 2, Trapped in Hell. It's believed that in Custom Night, where you can customize which animatronics can come at you as you attempt to survive, you are playing as William Afton, who is now trapped in hell, with the never-ending nights that make up the individual games that you play representing William's eternal punishment for the murders that he was responsible for. Additionally, the Old Man Consequences Easter egg has been used to argue the likelihood of this claim. What do you think? Do you think that game is all about you playing as William Afton, you're trapped in hell? Let us know in the comments. Number 1, Father versus Son. After Michael Afton turns purple in the minigames we previously touched on, he starts to convulse and ends up vomiting out the parts of Enard. His empty skin collapses on the ground with nothing to hold it up, and he appears to be dead. However, we then see him miraculously awaken, alive. And if you beat Golden Freddy on very hard mode in Custom Night, you get to find out what happens next in his story. That is, after he left, now with Enard inside him. A cutscene reveals Michael talking to his father in a burned down Fazbear's Fright. Michael explains that he has freed his sister, but at great cost to himself. He should be dead, but finds himself somehow still alive. And he vows that he is coming to find his father. The cutscene finishes with Springtrap popping into the frame.
Glitchtrap is probably the scariest rabbit in the world. Well, other than that one from Monty Python. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Connor Monroe, and turning the other cheek means that you're taking the high road or soar. Glitchtrap is the main antagonist of the FNAF VR game Help Wanted, and has been compared to the likes of William Afton, the main killer of the series. But what about Glitchtrap makes him more interesting than his now damned counterpart? That's what we're exploring with today's list of the top 10 scary FNAF Glitchtrap facts. If you haven't yet, be sure you hit like and subscribe if you love FNAF so we can roll the intro. At 10, Resurrection. Glitchtrap is a virus that was scanned into the game we are testing in Help Wanted. Help Wanted is a very odd game story-wise. We play as a playtester who is testing the Freddy Fazbear Experience, which is the in-universe game. The anomaly, as it's referred to by Tape Girl, was actually generated when Fazbear Inc. provided the company that created the game with hard drives that they were meant to scan to use in-game. They supposedly contained code that would help make pathfinding easier and just make actually coding the game easier. However, it ended up creating something, an anomaly that started slowly controlling the game code, the one we now know as Glitchtrap. But the thing is, this isn't the first time we've seen the character, he just wasn't in this form. And at 9, Merging. One of the endings of FNAF VR has you merging with Glitchtrap, and while most of YouTube thinks that you and Glitchtrap are just switching places, that's not what merging means. I'm different. I actually listen. So if you take the actual definition of merging, meaning to combine, then the end of the game really shows us that we are in fact becoming one with Glitchtrap. Why does he need us? We don't know yet, but assumingly he will be the villain of the next FNAF game, so maybe we will learn more about it then. But basically, this point is that we are merging with Glitchtrap, not switching places with him. Sorry to burst your bubble, MatPat, but honestly, it kinda feels good. Just kidding, MatPat, I love your videos. Please don't block me. And at 8, Game Tag. The game files always have their own way of naming things. Later that night for FNAF 6's Midnight Motorist game, etc. And FNAF VR isn't any different. While we all refer to him as Glitchtrap, in the game he is referred to as the Anomaly by Tape Girl, and I guess technically the announcer who tells you not to interact with any of the tapes. But the game itself calls him Spring Bonnie Man, no spaces. This is what first tipped people off as to the identity of the masked killer. Well, along with the suit, the color of the bow, the color of his eyes, the fact that one certain individual is the only actual killer that we've seen. He is the only killer, right? The animatronics themselves don't count because they were made by him, so I'm pretty sure he was the only one. At 7, he is William Afton. His name is William Afton, and for one reason or another, he ended up killing kids and then stuffing them into animal-themed robotic suits. While that hasn't directly been confirmed, we can get as close as we can with some keen observation. Aside from the obvious, that being the similar MO to Afton, the stuffing kids in suits like Glitchtrap does in the pizza party ending, the color of the bow tie and eyes, particularly the eyes since they're the windows to the soul, but we can get even more confirmation with the Curse of Dreadbear, the Halloween DLC to Help Wanted. In this DLC, we can see Glitchtrap once, and it's on the hill next to the FNAF 4 house on the loading screen. You know, like that hub thing where you pick the games. If you press the button at the back of the monitor and then turn around to look at the car for 10 seconds, you will turn back around to see Glitchtrap doing his creepy freaking dance on the hill that's next to the hill that has the FNAF 4 house. So he's on a different hill, but it's like next to the other hill. We know for a fact that Scott uses his next game to clarify things from his last one, and with another 15 games and a whole new ending, that being the Corn Maze ending, this DLC is basically a new game. And him intentionally putting Glitchtrap next to the FNAF 4 house is pretty much confirmation. Plus, if you turn around to look at the car again, you will see that the car headlights change from white to purple, adding yet another layer of confirmation, but also potentially hinting at the fact that it was indeed William in the purple Midnight Motorist car. And at 6, the suit. The suit that Glitchtrap wears wears the right word? Like, I mean, he is literally confirmed to be a video game entity, and they can't really wear stuff. The Glitchtrap suit seems to be fairly reminiscent of probably the first suit that Afton wore while working with or testing suits for Fazbear Inc., since he was on the robotic side of things and Henry was the creative and business side. Because obviously before they had spring-lock suits, they had to have normal suits. Notice the stitching around his joints and the 5 fingers, showing that someone would have had to be inside. Plus, the suit looks nothing like the Bonnie we know today, be it the normal Bonnie or hell even Springtrap. Those all have open joints unless it's a plate along the elbow, and not as many fingers if it's not one of the 2 suits that double as both animatronic and suits. So clearly old Willie Afton learned his lesson about those spring locks. Time to go back to basics, I suppose. Halfway through at number 5, Stuffed. In the Pizza Party ending, assuming you don't have the Christmas update and are playing in VR, your only option is to follow Glitchtrap onto the stage, where we will promptly be killed and placed into a Freddy animatronic, where the game ends. But this couldn't have been the original ending, right? Glitchtrap must have changed it by being in the game. This is shown to us by the fact that he is an anomaly, something that isn't supposed to be in the game, something that Tape Girl tried to contain, but couldn't, something that the announcer in this game reminds us to ignore on a regular basis whenever we come out of the tape room. He's there by mistake, so why does he have such a big role in the game? He shouldn't. The ending was altered by Glitchtrap as indicated by the announcer repeating the words bye-bye until we fade to black. That sounded a hella off to me, as it was repeating itself because for some reason we weren't gone. Glitchtrap altered the ending to this game. The question is, from what? And at 4, fan name. It's actually kind of ironic. I've been calling him Glitchtrap this whole time, but the name was actually given to him by fans. There is no canon source that refers to him as Glitchtrap in-game. Tape Girl calls him the Anomaly, the game code calls him Spring Bonnie Man, and there are no references to Glitchtrap anywhere else in the game files. It was actually a name given to him by the community due to the similarities between him and Afton, because at that point we only thought he was Afton, but we couldn't be sure. This is also the only point where we actually physically see Afton in-game. We've seen Purple Guy and Springtrap, but those were only shadows and a hardly alive version of him. This is the closest we get to seeing his real proportions and really seeing how he is built in the eyes of Scott Cawthon, and thinking of that is pretty terrifying. And at 3, the plan. There is some form of overarching plan to the resurrection of William Afton. Like how seasons of TV shows have one main villain and then they deal with it over 20 episodes or whatever, while also dealing with the week-to-week villains. These games won't be different in that regard. Someone intentionally sought out the hard drives for the company to scan, potentially knowing that William left his consciousness inside, and William has some sort of plan in-game, whether MapHat is right and it's trying to start a cult in his name, or if he uses your body to escape the game, or if he needs the souls of people with the original names of his victims. Think of the beta testers before you, Jeremy and Tape Girl, potentially named Susie. There is a plan in motion by the end of Help Wanted, but what is it? Only Willie knows, and he ain't talking. And ultimately, and at number 2, Plushie. After defeating Glitchtrap in the 16 tapes ending, the one where you get sealed behind a steel door, Glitchtrap turns into a plushie beside you. This is reminiscent of the Plushtrap animatronic introduced at the Fun and Plushtrap minigame in FNAF 4's hallway. The one we get in Help Wanted though is more of an actual plushie than a crazed robotic killer, and glows in a neon green fashion instead of the normal yellow associated with the suit used by Afton. Wait. Does this make Afton a furry? A furry is defined as, in particular, a person who dresses up in costume as such an animal character with human characteristics, or that uses one as an avatar online. And I think killing kids in a yellow bunny suit in this scenario will count as being a furry, since also this is his avatar in this game instead of the iconic purple shadow. I think it counts even more. Finally, in at number 1, voice line. Now, with a full game like FNAF VR, there is bound to be plenty of lines of dialogue. In the original game, Scott was the phone guy himself, obviously, which cut back on costs. But Ultimate Custom Night is really where the voice department had an expanded budget thanks to Scott's mattress full of money from the other games in the series, and all those facial tissue sales. But when it comes to FNAF VR, we didn't get as much. We got the announcer from Pizzeria Simulator, we got Tape Girl, and we got Scott as phone guy again with the typical grunts and moans from the other games in the series. But one character who was distinctly lacking in voice lines was the main antagonist of the game, Glitchtrap. Out of everything that's happened in the game, he really only has one line of voice dialogue, yeah. And it's only heard if you beat him during the 16 tapes ending. He opens the door, shushes you, and then walks back into the darkness behind him. Out of all the times we see this character or he's mentioned, the only time we hear him speak is him telling his victim to shut up. That's hella creepy if you ask me, and a fitting line for such a terrifying and iconic character. Father, it's me, Michael. I should be dead. But I'm not. At least not on the outside. Oh, wicked self-burn! Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Carmen Monroe, and yes, I got this shirt specifically for FNAF videos. I won't wear it in any other content, and yes, it's a children's shirt, because any self-respecting adult that doesn't talk about FNAF on the internet for a job wouldn't wear this. With the release of the next Fazbear Frights book, we figured it was a good time to talk about one of the most elusive and confusing characters to ever grace the FNAF series. What do we know about him, and is anything really certain? Well, that's what we're trying to solve with today's list of the top 10 scary FNAF Michael Afton facts. Michael Afton being the son of William Afton, the purple guy, the man behind the slaughter. But did his son take over the family business? Let's see. Be sure you hit like and subscribe if you love the FNAF series, and we will roll the intro. In a 10 soap opera. One fun fact about Michael Afton, actually I don't know if this is fun or if we should actually be afraid, is that he loves the soap opera The Immortal and the Restless, a vampire parody of The Young and the Restless, and I'm assuming Twilight maybe, because of the vampires. I don't actually know where Scott stands on the franchise. Anyway, I'm not sure if we should be amused by his constant watching of the show or afraid, since him watching that show keeps his attention so bad that he doesn't hear Ennard come into his house, and he's just able to crawl in front of the TV while Michael just sits there. No running, no surprise, he just sits there watching Immortal and the Restless. People also seem to think that this is alluding to Michael's relationship with William, saying potentially that the child isn't his. I mean, that is a possibility, but what if it's true, and when William found out he killed the mother, hence why she isn't around? But that doesn't really make any sense, because if he was willing to kill the mother, he wouldn't have kept the kid. Either way, the way Michael gets distracted by a soap opera is scary. Not because it's a soap opera, because he's so distracted he doesn't hear a 7-foot-tall animatronic walking into his house. In a 9, Torn Identity. Michael, while not going by many names, has had many different identities over the years. While now most of us know who he is, there is a whole section of the community that thinks that Mike is Springtrap. Hell, according to the security logbook, Michael may not even be his real name. Over the years, Michael has gone by Foxy Bro, Crying Child, Purple Guy, Springtrap, and Mike Trap, but they have all been Michael Afton. We don't know why he may not remember his name, and we may not know for certain what's really going on in this series, but I can tell you that 100% he is not Springtrap, okay? Mike Trap is not a thing. Scott Cawthon confirmed it himself in reference to a MatPat theory about FNAF 6, saying to pay attention to his take on the Mike Trap versus Will Trap debate, and Matt did in fact prove to us that Mike Trap is impossible, since when Purple Guy was first introduced in FNAF 2, he had been able to drive since Fredbear's Family Diner, which Mike would 100% not have been old enough to do. Plus, if it was Mike in the Springtrap costume, he wouldn't have been able to set the souls of the other children free like he was doing, because he would have been trapped in the safe room. And at 8, Mirror Image. We learn from Mike's final monologue in Sister Location that Mike actually looks a lot like his father, saying the animatronics didn't recognize him at first, but then they thought that Mike was William, which explains why the animatronics are coming to kill us in the games and why the toy animatronics come after us in FNAF 2. Because we play as Mike in all those games. Because since now they have William as a killer and they're all looking for him, but instead they find us, his son, Michael Afton, which kind of throws out the whole we aren't his son thing, unless you think about the crying child as the one who isn't the son. But in that case he wouldn't say I'll put you back together, even though he could be someone else who says that, and who knows anymore. Not even MatPat, and we rely on MatPat to get these things right. At least I do. I rely on it. Notice me, senpai. Just comment in all the game theories. Tell him to check out Top 10 Gaming. Love you, MatPat. Don't copyright strike me. And at 7, moral differences. Now, while William and Mike may look alike, that's the only thing they have in common. Genetics aside, these people aren't related in the slightest. If you think about it, these two are the opposites of each other. One is corrupt and kills as a second nature, and the other is trying to repent, making up for his father's crimes as well as his own wrongdoings. We don't know why William started killing, it's all just speculation, but we know why Mike began hunting down the spirits of the children and started setting them free, to make up for his father's mistakes and to let his brother have the peace he deserves. The two characters juxtapose each other, and this is even more reinforced when you remember that they did look exactly alike, so much so that the animatronics actively try to enact revenge on Mike, thinking that he's William. Even though they look identical, they are on the opposite sides of the spectrum of human decency, and while yes, Mike started off bullying his younger brother, once he got his brother killed, that's when he found his way. It's sad, but at least they can rest now. And at 6, he can't die. It's established in Sister Location that Mike isn't able to die via any normal means. When he got scooped and injected with Remnant, as explained via the Remnant reservoir that the scooper has, and thanks to Baby telling him he won't die after Ennard escapes his now rotting body. However, even though he is rotting, smelling disgusting, and becoming more ghastly every day, he's still kicking. Or at least he was, until Pizzeria Simulator. Now, how is this? Well, it's thanks to the Remnant in his body. The Remnant that he was injected with in Sister Location's final moments actually saved his life. His body was dead, but his soul was still preserved, infusing him with a form of soul metal powered by agony that can only be destroyed with fire, or overheating. And you may be thinking, if he was injected with Remnant, doesn't that make his body possessed by a soul that isn't his? And while this would be true for anyone else, scooping would be incredibly painful and cause an intense amount of agonizing pain. But you also need to remember, he's with his dead family. He just found out that his sister possessed the circus baby animatronic, and his brother, probably fairly recently, just got killed by the springlock failure. So he's dealing with a whole lot to say the least, and to say that he's in agony is probably an understatement. So it's very possible that he infused his soul with the Remnant injected and just took control. That's not that far out there when it comes to this series. Halfway through and in number 5, Burned. However, despite his ultimate soul power, he eventually does die during the fire in FNAF 6, also known as Pizzeria Simulator, where Henry gives his final monologue to close out the first 6 games, or the Purple Guy saga, or at least we thought. We then see him return in the form of Glitchtrap in FNAF VR, but that's a whole other video. And literally, we did a top 10 scary Glitchtrap facts, so you should go check that out too. After this, of course. But as I described my last number, the only way he could die was through burning, which Henry makes sure of when he burns the joint to the ground with William, Baby, aka Elizabeth, Molten Freddy, aka Ennard, Lefty, containing the puppet, aka Charlotte, Henry's daughter, and you playing as Mike inside. The only question I have about this is, did we know we were gonna burn down? Obviously, we wouldn't be talking about it outright with Henry since, you know, arson is illegal, and if anyone were to stumble upon their operation, special obligations under paragraph 4 sounds better than you found an animatronic we need to burn. Especially when you take into account that these animatronics are possessed and have minds of their own. They don't want to be destroyed. So it would make sense as to why they'd keep it secret, but it could be Henry keeping secrets from us as well. I personally always thought that we knew that we were going to burn and that we had just accepted it because we'd get to see our family again and they'd be put to rest. Also because, you know, we're a walking hunk of rotting flesh that was used as a meat suit for a robotic endoskeleton, and I don't think there's a therapy for that. And at 4, Scooped. We all know that Mike got scooped at the end of Sister Location, if you got the right ending. However, what we probably didn't know, at least until FNAF 6, is how the scooper worked. The scooper has 4 different parts to it. The excavating arm, which is the worst name for a scooper imaginable, the remnant injector that leaves a trace line of remnant on the interior of the subject, the arm, base, and balance, and the remnant reservoir. And this blueprint is also where we learn that negating the effects of remnant requires heat. In the notes it says that when heated the metal has no observable motion, that the heated tank should be kept at a sustaining temperature that makes the metal malleable but nothing more liquid than that, because overheating might neutralize the effects permanently, as well as using the scooper too much. As the notes on the injector says, overusage/overexposure negates the effects. If Mike had scooped Ennard out of him, he might have just been able to die instead of living in agony. Getting close to the end in number 3, he killed his brother. This is a fairly obvious thing, but this is also one of the most horrifying things imaginable. I wouldn't be able to handle directly being the cause of a family member's death. If I was Mike and I had put my brother into the jaws of a creature he was so terrified of that he started crying so much the jaws closed and crushed his skull, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't have been okay ever again, okay? Just the thought of this makes me want to hug my sister. Sure, her and I fight and yeah, I pick on her, but there's no way that I would have forced her into a terrifying situation unless it was for YouTube content and she was willing. But by no means would I throw her into the mouth of anything. I was going to make a joke and say aside from a lion, but I can't even joke about that. That sucks. And at 2, Purple Guy. Remember how I mentioned earlier that people thought Mike was the killer? Well, that's because of Scott's old tricks. In the final scenes of Sister Location, where we see Mike walking along after his Ennard injection, we see him slowly get more purple and start to collapse, until eventually he is pure purple and so broken that Ennard has to evacuate faster than your Tinder date. He stood up after Baby said multiple times that he won't die, but this has caused a whole bunch of people to believe that he is actually the purple guy, that he is the killer. This is simply not the case. Yes, there are 2 purple guys, but only one of them is actually physically purple, that being Mike. Mike is actually purple, even though being green would make more sense because that's what everything rotten is colored, but whatever, Scott. William is the one and only purple guy, but he is purple because that's meant to represent a shadow in mini-games that have a black background. And in Atari-style games, purple was used to indicate shadows because in a way it's more realistic in some cases. It's hard to explain. They aren't the same person, I promise. Okay, as I said earlier, Scott confirmed it himself. Finally, in number 1, he is the brother. Hey, brother. Now I've been talking this whole time about how Michael is the big brother, and some of you may be confused. At first we thought he was the brother until the survival logbook gave us questions like, does he still talk to you in reference to psychic friend Fredbear, and lines like the party was for you. Since the crying child's party is where he ended up dying, we thought that Mike was actually the crying child, and the promise of I will put you back together came from William, who literally put him back together as a robot. But now we're back to his brother. Why? Actually, it's because of the latest Fazbear Frights book and the similarities between the main character of Paul from one of the stories and Foxy Bro, as Matt Pat called him. If you haven't watched that theory, I highly suggest you do. Matt will explain it better than I can in this short amount of time because the script is already really damn long. But basically, the similarities prove that Mike is actually the gray-shirted big brother. But honestly, I think that the 2 kids may be the same person, but that's something I'll have to discuss on my own stuff. There we have it, friends, the top 10 scary FNAF Michael Afton facts. Which facts surprised you, if any, and is there anything I should include in a part 2? Be sure you let me know down below, and remember that this series is constantly changing, so what's true now may change down the line, so just chill out in the comments. On your way down to Rage, be sure you hit like and subscribe if you love FNAF, and ring that bell to join the clan and level up. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.